Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's your girl Nell.
And it's your boy,
And we
Steph.
coming to y'all with another video.
And in the regards of Mr. Sharp Shannon himself, we gonna go ahead and we got
Shannon
one.
Sharp, no. Shark Tank.
Oh, I don't know how that correlated,
Sharpie.
but I give you that one. In the spirit of that, talk about my boy Shannon, man. We're gonna react to how actually good was he, but and it's a reaction from my girl Dale. Her name was Dale. What's Chanel?
D.
Oh, D. Chanel.
Just know.
Yeah, D. Yeah, we gonna do it. We reacting to D reacting to his video. It's 17-minute long video, so we ain't trying to hold y'all up. Come along the gang and watch with us, man. Let's make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get to the 17 minutes. Let's get it.
What's up, y'all? It's popping in Steve. I'll here this been by Blitz. It's titled "How Good Was
Oh,
Shannon
she
Sharp
watching the one on
Actually?"
Blitz.
I definitely need to know this because I know nothing about his football career. I just know that he used to play back in the day. I know he was fine. I saw those old pictures. He was fine. I don't even want to say was though. He's still a very attractive man. But yeah, I don't know anything about his stats or anything. So I need to know. I especially need to know because
that's like
I've been on
saying
TikTok and I see clips
dude.
pop up of him, coming for Ocho and being like, I don't know if you actually any good. Like he's always questioning his athleticism.
Why you looking like that?
So I'm like, what about you though?
Fine. I don't understand how like
Yeah,
young
that
women
is
be
weird.
trying to call old men fine. Like you know how like them actors, they be like, oh he's so fine. This man old enough to be your daddy.
Unlike his talk show counterparts, David could ball. Not only is he a Hall of Famer with 3 Super Bowl rings, but he revolutionized the tight end position and forever changed. Backed it up. So, how good was he actually? And where does he rank among the greatest tight ends of all time? Sharp was born into a poor family in Glenville, Georgia. His parents split when he was just 3 months old, immediately giving him adversity to overcome. Basic needs were not guaranteed in the rural South. Neither was his family's safety. In fact, during his Hall of Fame speech, Sharp explained that we were so poor, a robber once broke into our house, and we ended up robbing the robber. To make matters worse, Sharp's father passed away from cancer when he was in his early teens, leaving him without a father figure for a large part of his youth. Luckily for Shannon and his siblings, his grandmother, Mary Porter, stepped in to raise them. Porter also helped take care of several other extended family members.
See, my grandmother and grandfather, they raised me, and I hung on everything they say, but they didn't know it.
So everyone lived packed into one small home, barely fit for a family of 4.
There was no paneling in the house. There was no insulation in the house. It was basically cinder block. It was really, really cold in the winter.
But while the Sharp family didn't have much, what Shannon and his older brother Sterling did have was sports. That was going to be their way out. At Glenville High School, Sterling was a superstar athlete playing basketball, football, and running track. He became a high-profile football recruit that took his talents to the University of South Carolina. Shannon had hoped to follow in his brother's footsteps, and as an athlete, he did. He was also a star multi-sport athlete, but in the classroom, he struggled. So his only offer came from the local Division II school, Savannah State. Sharp would continue to play multiple sports at Savannah, playing basketball, competing in track and field events, and suiting up for the Tigers football team. But it was quickly obvious that the gridiron was where Sharp was at his best. Shannon set many records while at Savannah State, totaling a whopping 192 receptions for 3,744 receiving yards and 40 touchdowns over 4 years. And while Shannon was dominating the inferior D2 competition, his brother Sterling was doing the same at USC, then in the NFL. At South Carolina, Sterling set nearly every receiving record, which led to him being drafted 7th overall by the Green Bay Packers in 1988. Then, by just his second year in the NFL, he was already a first-team All-Pro. But despite his brother's instant success, nobody was paying close
You see
attention.
Shannon Sharp, he look like he can still play.
Oh yeah, for sure. Shannon Sharp
The
definitely
NFL
can
was
play
far
out there right
different
now. Some
30
people
plus
in
years
the
ago.
NFL
The tight ends were expected to be closer physically to offensive tackles than wide receivers. While Sterling was the ideal NFL wide receiver, Shannon was just a tweener with good stats. The future NFL legend was written off and seen as a project rather than a weapon. Little did they know, Shannon would go on to change the course of the tight end position forever. Because after a grueling 6 rounds undrafted in the 1990 NFL draft,
that round 1 was off the table, but I thought I was good enough to be a 2nd or 3rd round draft pick.
The Denver Broncos took a shot on the undersized tight end.
And I picked up the phone, and it was the Broncos. They said, we selected you in the 7th round.
But like other teams' evaluations of Sharp, They didn't believe he was a tight end. Instead, they committed to playing him as a wide receiver. Denver failed. Over 1990 and 1991, Sharp's first 2 NFL seasons, he totaled just 29 receptions for 421 receiving yards. Legendary QB John Elway was leading the offense, but Sharp struggled to make an impact. And to make things worse, this was all happening while Shannon lived in the shadow of his brother Sterling. While Shannon was trying to get his footing in the NFL, Sterling continued racking up All-Pro and Pro Bowl honors for the Green Bay Packers. So Shannon struggling to make an impact only created a sense that one brother was meant for NFL greatness and the other was simply a role player. In 1992, Sharp finally broke through expectations and never looked back. Broncos head coach Dan Reeves decided to play Sharp where he belonged, at tight end. And the results were immediate. Sharp exploded for 53 receptions and 640 receiving yards, which led all tight ends in the league. The Broncos had found something special. Of course, the other NFL teams had talented tight ends that were putting up numbers, but Denver had only scratched the surface of what Sharp could become. In the 1993 season, Sharp reached new heights again. And as his relationship with John Elway grew, so did his numbers. The Broncos tight end had a whopping 81 receptions for 995 yards and 9 touchdowns. For the first time, Sharp was named first team All-Pro. That's a special honor for any player, but it also marked the first and only time that Shannon was named to the squad during the same year as his brother Sterling. Shannon was no longer living in his brother's shadow. Instead, they were shining together. Sadly, the Sharp brothers didn't get a chance to complete that feat again after Sterling suffered a career-ending neck injury that forced him into early retirement. Sterling's career was robbed from him after just 7 NFL seasons. It was a gridiron tragedy that Sterling, who looked destined to be a Hall of Famer, could not keep playing in the NFL alongside Shannon.
But I played football because my brother played. And man, it broke my heart when he said it was over.
As heartbreaking as Sterling's injury was, it only added further motivation for Shannon. The Broncos tight end was dedicated to representing the Sharp name, and he would eventually get the chance to honor his brother's playing career with the ultimate tribute. However, Sharp was still relentless in pursuing his ultimate goal of winning a Super Bowl title. By 1995, the Broncos had built a team that could match up with anyone offensively, and it was time to take advantage of that. But it didn't come easy. The Broncos struggled in the 95 season under new head coach Mike Shanahan, failing to make the playoffs. Frustratingly for Sharp, the Denver defense let him down on several occasions, while the offense finished 3rd in the NFL in total yards. Even worse, Sharp missed significant time due to an injury for the first time in his career. The Broncos tight end only started 12 games, but still scored 4 touchdowns and totaled 756 receiving yards, the second most of any NFL tight end that season. Performing at that level while injured only further proved Sharp's talent and toughness, and he was rewarded for playing through injury, as he was named to the Pro Bowl for the 3rd consecutive year.
No living
they've been doing that. Some people in the
ever
league,
eat processed food for every single meal of their life.
In '96, the Broncos began to realize their potential, and in his 2nd year as head coach, Shanahan leaned on Sharp as the Broncos started the campaign with an astonishing 12-1 record. They went on to outscore opponents 391 to 275 that season, finishing the year 13-3. With Sharp being the key reason for their offensive success. In 15 games, Sharp brought down 80 receptions for 1,062 yards and a career-high 10 touchdowns. And as he was torching opponent defenses, he would let them know about it. The New England Patriots found that out the hard way. In the middle of a dominant 34-8 win, Sharp pulled out a red telephone on the sideline and infamously shouted,
"President, we need a National Guard. We need as many men as you can spare because we are killing the Patriots."
Unfortunately, trash talking can come back to haunt you. And for Sharp that season, it did. While the Patriots would go on to play in the Super Bowl, Denver suffered a shocking 30-27 upset to the Jacksonville Jaguars in their first playoff game. Sharp and the Broncos were back to square one. Over that 96 season, they had become the team to beat in the NFL. And getting beat in the first round of the playoffs wasn't part of the script. Considering that John Elway was now 37, time was running out. But after being humbled, the Broncos had a chip on their shoulder entering the 97 season. Denver won their opening 6 games, with Sharp bringing down 18 receptions for 266 yards and a touchdown. Not a bad start, but the best was yet to come for the Broncos tight end. Over the next 10 games, Sharp crossed the 80-yard mark 5 times. While he only reached the end zone 3 times in that regular season, his 1,107 receiving yards was truly incredible. In fact, no other tight end that season even came close to matching him. Sharp
probably
beat the next closest
probably
competitor by 320
Yeah, Steelers came
yards.
out
In
and
terms
gated
of
that
pure
guy.
impact, his 15.3
What's the
yards per
other
catch
one?
that season was vital to the Broncos' success. But
Mm.
Sharp's goal wasn't to lead the NFL in
Yeah,
various
it's a lot of
stats.
those.
It was to hoist the Lombardi Trophy.
Not
To
really
do
good.
that, they would need to exercise the demons of the '96
talking
season
like
by beating the
Charles
Jags
something.
in another
Charles.
postseason opener.
Yeah.
They did more than just beat them.
Charles.
Denver dominated Jacksonville in their postseason rematch, winning 42-17.
Charles, I know Charles.
Then in the
Oakley,
AFC
he in
Championship
NBA.
game, they played against the
Charles
Pittsburgh
Barkley.
Steelers. Sharp made multiple key receptions
Okay,
down
we
the
look
stretch
up.
in a
NFL
close
player named
24-21 win. Finally, after 8 seasons, Sharp was playing for a ring.
I can't
Years
do
and
that.
years
A
of
whole bunch
struggle,
of people gonna
success,
pop up.
and falling just
Yes.
short had
NFL
culminated in the
player.
Super Bowl 32 bout against the Green Bay Packers. The Packers were the defending champs and the favorite, but the Broncos got
definitely
hot
not talking
early,
about him.
jumping out
You
to a
definitely not talking
17-7
about
lead.
Charles.
Sharp didn't get in the end zone, but Elway always looked
Charles
to
Wilson?
him as his security blanket, targeting Sharp a team-high 5 times. In a Super Bowl classic, Denver and Green Bay traded blows before the game was tied at 24-all in the fourth quarter. That tie was broken with
Yeah, it
little
came out
time
Florida
remaining
State.
as Terrell Davis reached the end zone for
Oh,
the
that's
Broncos at
Charles
the
Wilson.
145 mark in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Denver's defense
Charles
held
Wilson.
up on the following drive, and the Lombardi Trophy swapped hands to the Broncos.
Dang, that looked
The
like
narratives
him. He
around
looked
John
like himself,
Elway
yeah.
finally reaching the top of the mountain dominated the national media. But Sharp's journey deserved just as much press. A 7th-round pick out of Savannah State was now a Super Bowl champion,
In the
and Sharp would
NFL.
finally get to honor the cut-short career of his brother Sterling. Shannon gifted his Super Bowl ring to Sterling.
And we're doing an interview with NBC, and we're sitting down talking. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna give him the Super Bowl ring.
Some things are bigger than personal success, and the Sharp brothers clearly understand that. But what do you do after you accomplish your ultimate goal of winning a Super Bowl? You do it again, and you do it in even more dominant fashion. After an impressive 12-4 regular season campaign in their first Super Bowl season, the Broncos followed that up with a 14-2 run in 1998. Denver dismantled
they was
their
winning while
opponents,
Jordan was
initially
winning.
starting on a 13-0 streak to open the season. So much for the Super Bowl slump, huh? The stats were
So
wild.
Shannon Sharp must
Sharp
have
and the
been that
Broncos
NFL
scored
nah,
31.3
Devin,
points
Deion
per game,
Sanders was-
establishing themselves as one of the most dynamic offenses in
And
NFL
Tom Brady,
history.
them
In
boys, yeah.
18 total games
Brady
played,
has been.
Denver won 15 games
Nah,
by
back
2
then he was
scores
that
or more,
guy.
including all 3 of their playoff
Yeah,
games.
both
Sharp
Tom
didn't
had
cross the
boys.
1,000-yard receiving mark, but he did reach 10
Keep them
touchdowns for the
reps.
second
Yeah, that
time in
boy
his
is
But
career.
serious.
that
Third
what that's what
consecutive
really
year,
they
Sharp
had
was
put
named
that
a
was his
first-team
game.
All-Pro
sure.
and a Pro Bowler. It was a storybook ending for Elway,
Because
who
he won
retired
about
at the end
3-4
of the
times
season.
after that.
I just can't compete at the level in this game that I want to compete at anymore.
For Sharp, that was a huge deal. The only quarterback he had ever really known in the NFL was gone. And now the Broncos had to start again with someone new. And unfortunately for Sharp, it just didn't pan out. He had multiple injuries in 1999, limiting him to just 5 total appearances. By the following offseason in 2000, the 4-time All-Pro was a free agent, and he was going to take his talents elsewhere. After 10 seasons in Denver, Sharp joined a talented Baltimore Ravens team for the 2000 season. The Ravens boasted 2 legendary running backs in Jamal Lewis and Priest Holmes, but sorely lacked a downfield. So that's where Sharp came in. Baltimore prided itself on its
Ouch.
defense, but Sharp took them to a new level on
That was his
offense,
neck.
and the numbers prove it. The veteran tight end led the entire squad in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns, with 810
running like
yards
he
and
hurt.
5 scores. The Ravens went from an 8-8 team in 1999 to a powerhouse that finished 12-4 in 2000. Somehow,
This is
that record
16
didn't win the
games.
AFC Central.
He
even
was
the Tennessee
single-handedly
Titans
the
going
best
13-3.
offensive
Sharp and the
man.
Ravens
Yeah,
would
it's
have
still
the last
16
laugh.
games.
To open the postseason,
You gonna think about
Baltimore
playoffs and stuff, yeah, 16
dismantled
games.
Sharp's former team. The
8-8.
Ravens beat the Broncos 21-3 as
8-8,
Sharp
yeah.
exploded for 3 catches, 73 yards, and a touchdown. Now, Sharp and Baltimore got their shot at the Titans in the divisional round. After a fairly close start, the Ravens broke the contest open in the fourth
Are you-
quarter, in 24-10. Sharp only made 1 catch, but it was a monstrous 53-yard
Hey.
grab that was a huge momentum shifter for Baltimore. And that huge catch against the Titans was a foreshadowing of the
He
AFC
is
Championship clash with the Oakland
He
Raiders.
probably
In a
running dumb
16-3
fast
victory,
right now.
Sharp made the most famous play of his career. First, catching a pass at the Ravens' 12-yard line, Sharp ran all the way down the field for a 96-yard touchdown. It was the only touchdown in Baltimore's victory and the longest score of Sharp's career. After 3 exceptional games, Sharp had once again reached the Super Bowl. Sharp made just 1 catch for 5 yards in the big game, but Baltimore defeated the New York Giants 34-7 for the team's first ever Super Bowl victory. Sharp would spend 1 more season with the Ravens, going for 811 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns in 2001. He was named to his final Pro Bowl that season, marking his 8th appearance. The Ravens would not replicate their previous postseason success, losing in the divisional round.
And as painful as it is to say this, they have a better football team than what we got.
But Sharp had made his mark in Charm City and had a Super Bowl ring to show for it. To wrap up his career, Shannon returned to Denver. To no one's surprise, he was still a massive problem.
He was on some LeBron
Over
jump.
28 games in his final 2 years, Sharp racked up 1,456 receiving yards and 11 touchdowns. Tight ends today are some of the most game-breaking weapons in the NFL, combining speed and size to create the ultimate mismatch. They have Shannon Sharp to thank for that, being arguably the most influential player to ever play that position. To this day, Sharp is still top 5 among tight ends in receptions and receiving yards. He is, without a doubt, a top 5 tight end in NFL history. His legacy was cemented in 2011 when he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. His presence on television and social media has made Sharp more famous than ever.
So
Even
what's
people who
Stephen
don't
A.
watch
Smith?
football
Where he
know
from?
who
Where
he
he
is,
came
thanks to memes
He was
and clips of
German.
Sharp doing his thing. But it's important to remember why he was put on TV in the first place. It's because he always has had the game to go along with the gab. For more of the best NFL content, be
He
sure to
said
like
the
and
game
subscribe.
as
Also,
long as it's
check out
going
some
with the gap. He funny. That was the longest 14 minutes I ever imagined. Because we talked like 5 minutes in that. That was good. But nah, y'all. That's that sharp guy. That's that knife sharp guy, man.
No.
He doing his thing.
He did his thing out there.
He done
From
got out that
Savannah
football.
State.
No
Okay,
cap.
now.
He done got at Savannah State. That right on the road. He done got at Savannah State. He done got at Savannah State. That hit that TV and never looked back, man. That boy doing his thing.
I wonder if anybody else been drafted from Savannah State.
I don't know. That's weird though. A lot of football players in the NFL, they come from like D2s and D3s. Like basketball is, boy, if you ain't at the D1, boy, you gotta be Michael Jordan.
You might as well think
about something else.
something else. Not even going to hood. Mind you, if you at a D3,
Bond that if you had a low D1,
you going overseas.
no, that's your best bet. You can go overseas. I had a homeboy that was at USF. You know that school, the Green School?
University of South Florida.
Mm-hmm. But this man went overseas. That's a D1. They play Duke. I'm like, man, you don't got no chance. Mm-hmm. Everything's so political now. But no, y'all, this is gonna be it for this video. We love y'all, man. We love y'all, man. We love y'all. Make sure y'all keep liking other videos, subbing out to the channel, dropping them comments, some word of encouragement. We love y'all.
Peace. I'm her.
And I'm him.
And we are we.
The Dynasty. Peace in them trees.